Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered who held the title of the world's richest person throughout history? We're diving into the realm of unimaginable fortunes. Today, we're embarking on a thrilling journey through the 20th and 21st centuries, decade by decade, uncovering the titans of wealth who shaped their eras. Get ready for surprising stories, legendary empires, and maybe even a few forgotten names. We're talking steel, oil, technology, and innovation. The forces that built fortunes and changed the world. We're piecing together the economic landscapes of each decade, unraveling how these figures rose to power. And along the way, we have some intriguing questions for you. So buckle up, history buffs and finance fanatics. This is going to be a wild ride. Our first stop takes us to the dawn of the 20th century, an era where steel was king and Andrew Carnegie wore the crown. Think about it. Skyscrapers piercing the clouds, bridges spanning impossible distances, all built with steel. Carnegie didn't just ride this wave, he practically created it. Rising from humble beginnings to dominate the industry, Carnegie famously believed that the man who dies rich dies disgraced. He dedicated the latter part of his life to giving away his vast fortune. Libraries, universities, foundations, you name it, Carnegie funded it. As the 1900s gave way to a new decade, a new force was about to reshape the world oil. The 1910s. The Model T was rolling off the assembly lines, airplanes were taking to the skies, and the world was developing an insatiable thirst for oil. At the helm of this oil-fueled revolution was John D. Rockefeller, a man whose name became synonymous with both unimaginable wealth and ruthless business tactics. Rockefeller's Standard Oil, at its peak, controlled over 90% of U.S. oil production. Imagine that kind of influence. He was a master strategist, a shrewd businessman who built an empire that stretched across continents. But his legacy is a complex one. While some saw him as a robber baron, exploiting workers and crushing competition, others hailed him as a visionary, an industrial titan who brought light and progress to the world. Love him or hate him, there's no denying Rockefeller's impact. As the Roaring Twenties approached, a new kind of industrialist was about to emerge. The 1920s, the Jazz Age, a time of flappers, speakeasies, and a booming economy. And at the heart of this economic boom was a man who put America on wheels, Henry Ford. Ford wasn't just building cars, he was building a revolution. His Model T, with its revolutionary assembly line production, wasn't a luxury for the elite. It was the people's car, affordable, reliable, and a symbol of the American dream. Ford understood that true wealth wasn't just about amassing a fortune, it was about creating something that changed the world. He paid his workers a fair wage, believing that a well-paid workforce was a productive workforce. Was Ford's impact greater because of his fortune or his revolutionary ideas? Chapter 4, 1930s. Fortune amid the crash, J. Paul Getty, the 1930s. The Roaring Twenties had come to a crashing halt with the Great Depression. Millions were out of work, breadlines stretched for blocks, and the American dream seemed to be slipping away. Yet, amidst this economic devastation, some fortunes not only survived, they thrived. Enter J. Paul Getty, an oil tycoon who seemed to defy the very laws of economics. Getty, already a millionaire by the time the stock market crashed, saw opportunity where others saw only disaster. He bought up struggling oil companies, expanding his empire during a time when most were struggling to survive. But Getty's wealth, even in the face of widespread suffering, came with a hefty dose of controversy. He was known for his extreme frugality, even installing a payphone in his mansion to prevent guests from running up his phone bill. As the world braced for another global conflict, the face of wealth was about to be redefined once more. Chapter 5. 1940s. Wealth in Wartime. The 1940s. The world was engulfed in World War II, a conflict that would reshape the geopolitical landscape and leave an indelible mark on human history. Pinpointing the single wealthiest individual during this tumultuous decade is a challenge. However, one thing is clear. Existing fortunes in oil, steel, and wartime production, like those of Getty and the Rockefellers, likely remained on top. The war, while devastating in countless ways, also fueled a surge in industrial production. As the war ended and a new era dawned, a new breed of billionaire was about to capture the world's attention. Chapter 6, 1950s, Post-War Power and the Eccentric Billionaire Howard Hughes, the 1950s. The war was over, and America was entering a golden age of prosperity. But amidst the economic boom, a new kind of billionaire emerged, one who embodied both the allure and the isolation that immense wealth can bring: Howard Hughes. Hughes was more than just rich. He was a true Renaissance man, aviator, filmmaker, engineer, and notorious recluse. He pushed the boundaries of what was possible, designing and building cutting-edge aircraft, producing Hollywood blockbusters, and amassing a fortune in aviation, film, and casinos. But Hughes's story is also a cautionary tale. As his wealth grew, so did his eccentricities. He became increasingly isolated, battling OCD and paranoia, eventually withdrawing from public life altogether. As the 1960s approached, a familiar face was about to re-emerge on the world stage. Chapter 7, the 1960s, Oil and Old Money. J. Paul Getty, the 1960s. The world was changing rapidly. The civil rights movement was challenging the status quo, the space race was captivating imaginations, and a counterculture revolution was brewing. But amidst these seismic shifts, some things remained constant. J. Paul Getty, the oil tycoon who'd weathered the Depression and emerged even wealthier, was back on top. Getty's fortune, primarily built on oil, had continued to grow throughout the decades. He was a shrewd investor, a master negotiator, and, some would argue, ruthless in his pursuit of profit. His art collection was legendary, his business acumen unmatched. But Getty's personal life was often overshadowed by tragedy and scandal, including the highly publicized kidnapping of his grandson. As the decade drew to a close, a global energy crisis was about to shake the very foundations of the world economy. Chapter 8. The 1970s. The oil crisis and shifting wealth. The 1970s. The world was hit by an energy crisis that sent shockwaves through the global economy. Oil prices skyrocketed, gas lines stretched for blocks, and a sense of uncertainty gripped the world. While this crisis had a devastating impact on many, those with significant oil holdings like J. Paul Getty saw their fortunes soar even higher. Getty, nearing the end of his life, remained a dominant force in the oil industry, his wealth seemingly impervious to the economic turmoil. However, the 1970s also marked a shift in the global balance of wealth. The rise of OPEC, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, gave oil-rich nations unprecedented economic and geopolitical power. As the decade drew to a close, the seeds of a new economic revolution were being sown. Chapter 9. The 1980s. The greed decade. The 1980s. Wall Street was booming, shoulder pads were bigger than ever, and a new breed of entrepreneur was taking center stage. This was the decade of greed is good, a time when finance and early tech began to chip away at the old guard of wealth. While oil and industry still held significant power, the seeds of a digital empire were being planted. This was a time of rapid technological advancement, with personal computers becoming increasingly commonplace and the internet still in its infancy. The wealth landscape was becoming more diverse, with fortunes being made not just from tangible assets like oil and steel, but from ideas, innovation, and the promise of the digital age. The gap between the ultra-rich and everyone else continued to widen, as deregulation and a focus on individual achievement fueled a culture of wealth accumulation. This era set the stage for the tech revolution that would come to define the following decade. Chapter 10. The 1990s. The tech revolution begins. Bill Gates, the 1990s. The internet went from a niche technology to a global phenomenon, connecting people and information in ways never before imagined. And at the forefront of this digital revolution was Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft, a man who would become synonymous with the era's tech boom. Gates' vision of a computer on every desk in every home seemed to come true almost overnight. Microsoft's operating system, Windows, became the dominant force in personal computing, propelling Gates to the top of the wealth pyramid. This was a new era of wealth creation, one driven by innovation, intellectual property, and the ability to scale ideas at an unprecedented rate. As the 20th century drew to a close, the world was becoming increasingly interconnected, and new players were emerging on the global stage. Chapter 11, the 2000s, the globalization era. Carlos Slim Helú, the 2000s. The dawn of a new millennium brought with it a new era of globalization. Emerging markets boomed, international trade soared, and the internet continued to connect the world at an astonishing pace. In this era of interconnectedness, a new face emerged as the world's richest person, Carlos Slim Helú, a Mexican business magnate who built his fortune on telecommunications. Slim's vast telecommunications empire, Grupo Carso, capitalized on the exploding demand for mobile phones and internet access in Latin America and beyond. His story highlighted the shifting landscape of wealth, with fortunes being made not just in traditional industries, but in sectors that facilitated global interconnectedness. As the decade progressed, a new wave of technological innovation was about to disrupt the very fabric of commerce. Chapter 12. The 2010s, the tech titans take over. Jeff Bezos, the 2010s. The internet, once a novelty, had become an indispensable part of daily life. Smartphones were ubiquitous, social media connected billions, and online shopping was rapidly reshaping the retail landscape. At the forefront of this digital revolution was Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, a company that would come to redefine what it meant to be a tech titan. Bezos's vision was audacious: to create an everything store, a digital marketplace where people could buy anything and everything with a few clicks. Amazon's relentless focus on customer experience, its vast selection, and its efficient logistics network propelled it to become the world's largest online retailer. Bezos's wealth soared alongside Amazon's growth, making him one of the richest individuals in history. Chapter 13. The present day. The billionaire space race, Elon Musk. And here we are, the 2020s, a decade already marked by unprecedented challenges and rapid technological advancement. The world is grappling with a global pandemic, climate change, and a renewed focus on social justice. But amidst these challenges, the pursuit of innovation and the accumulation of wealth continues unabated. Today, the title of world's richest person is often a tug-of-war between tech titans, but one name stands out for its ambition, its audacity, and its relentless pursuit of a future beyond our planet: Elon Musk. Musk isn't just building companies, he's building the future he wants to see. With Tesla, he's accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. With SpaceX, he's pushing the boundaries of space exploration. Musk's ambition, his willingness to take risks and challenge conventional thinking, has made him one of the most influential figures of our time. From the steel mills of Carnegie to the digital empires of Bezos and Musk, we've traveled through time, watching how industry, technology, and innovation shaped the richest figures in history. We've seen how fortunes were made and lost, how philanthropy and innovation went hand in hand, and how the very definition of wealth evolved with each passing decade. But here's the big question: what industries will create the world's next billionaires? Will it be AI, space exploration, or something we haven't even imagined yet? Drop your predictions in the comments. If you enjoyed this historical deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know what historical topics you want to explore next. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.